The 1980s. What a decade for style. The trends were big, bold, and sometimes a bit bizarre. Looking back now, it's hard not to laugh at some of the fashion choices that defined our youth. But at the time, these styles were all the rage, and we wore them with pride. So, let's stroll down memory lane and revisit some of those iconic 80s fashion fails that everyone thought were cool. Shoulder pads. Who could forget shoulder pads? Whether you were a working professional or a high school student, shoulder pads were a must. These fashion statements gave us all that powerful, broad-shouldered look that seemed important back then. It didn't matter if you were wearing a blazer, sweater, or even a dress. Shoulder pads were essential. Sure, we felt like bosses, but looking back, it's clear we were all trying just a bit too hard to look like characters from Dynasty. Acid wash everything. Acid wash jeans. If you didn't have at least one pair, you weren't truly living in the 80s. And it wasn't just jeans. We had acid wash jackets, skirts, and even hats. The splattered, faded look seemed like the peak of fashion. But let's be honest, it was an unusual trend that has definitely stayed in the 80s. Do you remember wearing acid wash? Or maybe you still have a pair hidden in the back of your closet. Leg warmers and neon colors. Then came the neon leg warmers. Even if you didn't exercise, you probably wore leg warmers over your jeans or with a skirt. And let's not forget the bright, blinding neon colors. Neon pink, green, yellow, you name it, we wore it. Neon was everywhere, from workout gear to casual wear, and we thought we looked amazing. Parachute pants and MC Hammer style. Parachute pants were another fashion adventure, made famous by breakdancers and, of course, MC Hammer. These shiny, baggy pants were everywhere. They might have been comfortable, but watching people try to walk in them was a sight to behold. We thought we were cool, even if moving around in those pants was more of a challenge than we'd like to admit. Big hair and Aqua Net addiction. And then there was the hair. We teased, we sprayed, and we reached for the sky. Big hair was essential, and for many of us, Aqua Net was practically a best friend. The bigger the hair, the cooler you looked. We'd spend hours getting it just right, only for the wind to ruin it within minutes. Still, nothing said 80s fashion like those massive hairstyles. Mullets. Who could forget the business in the front, party in the back, hairstyle? The mullet was a true phenomenon in the 80s, and almost everyone from rock stars to regular folks sported this look, whether it was short and spiky up front or long and curly in the back. The mullet was a hairstyle that somehow united us all. Looking back, we might cringe, but at the time, it felt like the ultimate style statement. Do you remember the mullet? Or maybe you even had one. Ruffled shirts and puffy sleeves. For some reason, we believed that more was better, especially when it came to sleeves and ruffles. From prom dresses to everyday blouses, puffy sleeves and ruffled shirts were a staple of 80s style. Some of us went all out, with sleeves so big they practically had their own zip code. The result was an outfit that looked ready for a Shakespearean play, but somehow ended up in our everyday wardrobes. If you're enjoying this trip back to the 80s, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more nostalgic content. It really helps me bring more of these memories to you. Hammer pants. Taking inspiration from hip-hop and MC Hammer himself, hammer pants were the ultimate baggy, loose-fitting, drop-crotch trousers that practically defined dancewear in the late 80s. While they were certainly comfortable, these pants were hardly flattering and almost impossible to wear anywhere outside a dance studio. Yet, for a time, they were everywhere, and many of us felt unstoppable in them. Fingerless gloves. Popularized by icons like Madonna and Billy Idol, fingerless gloves were the accessory of choice for those wanting a bit of rock and roll edge. The only problem? They didn't really keep your hands warm. But that didn't stop us from wearing them, pairing them with everything from leather jackets to denim vests. In hindsight, they were a strange fashion choice, but back then, they were the ultimate cool. Zubaz pants. If you were around in the 80s, you probably remember Zubaz pants. These zebra-striped, brightly colored pants were originally created for athletes, but quickly made their way into mainstream fashion. The patterns were bold, the colors were blinding, and yet they somehow made it into our closets. Today, they're mostly remembered as an odd trend, but back then, they were quite the statement. Headbands and sweatbands. Nothing said 80s workout culture quite like a brightly colored headband. Inspired by aerobics classes and music videos, people wore headbands whether they were exercising or not. Along with matching sweatbands, these accessories were more about style than function, and were often paired with neon workout gear for maximum effect. Hypercolor shirts. Hypercolor shirts were like magic. These shirts changed color with body heat, so if you were warm, you'd see handprints or other patterns appear on the fabric. Unfortunately, they also showed every little sweat stain, which was less than ideal. They didn't stay popular for long, but they were definitely an iconic fashion experiment of the 80s. Spandex everything. Spandex wasn't just for workouts in the 80s, it was practically everywhere. We wore it to aerobics class, but also out on the town. The shiny, tight material was as uncomfortable as it was revealing, but that didn't stop us from embracing it. Pair it with leg warmers, a neon top, and you were ready to go. High-waisted acid wash, jeans with pleats. High-waisted jeans were already a bold choice, but when acid washed and given pleats, they became a true 80s statement. These jeans seemed to add bulk in all the wrong places, but they were still a wardrobe staple. We paired them with oversized belts and tucked-in shirts, convinced we looked like rock stars. Plastic charm necklaces? If you remember plastic charm necklaces, you know they were the accessory for 80s kids. These chunky plastic necklaces had dozens of tiny charms in all shapes and colors. Lipsticks, roller skates, telephones. They were adorable, but ultimately clunky, jingling with every movement. Looking back, they were more like mini toy collections than actual fashion. Neon windbreakers. Windbreakers were already popular for their lightweight and practical design, but when they got the neon treatment, they truly became part of the 80s fashion legacy. These windbreakers came in bright neon pinks, greens, yellows, and purples, often in color, blocked patterns that practically glowed. Even on the dullest day, you'd stand out. Plastic jelly shoes. Jelly shoes were a go-to footwear choice for kids and teens, made of colorful plastic that was both shiny and a bit sticky. They came in every color imaginable, from neon pink to glittery silver. However, they weren't exactly practical. Walking in them for too long was a recipe for blisters. But that didn't stop us from wearing them everywhere. Huge belt buckles. Belt buckles in the 80s weren't just functional, they were a statement. These oversized buckles were often adorned with logos, rhinestones, or animal shapes. The bigger and flashier, the better. They were paired with everything from jeans to dresses, often making the outfit look a bit over the top. Studded leather jackets. Channeling rock stars and punk vibes, studded leather jackets were a fashion must-have. Covered in spikes, studs, and patches, these jackets were cool but often heavy and uncomfortable. For anyone wanting that badass look, this jacket was essential, even if it was tough to move around in. Sequin and glitter. Everything. Sequins weren't just for the stage. They were part of everyday outfits, from jackets to hats to dresses. Glittery outfits were all the rage, especially for nights out at discos. While they made a statement, they also left trails of glitter everywhere you went, and cleaning up was a nightmare. Layered socks. One pair of socks was never enough. We layered neon-colored socks, sometimes 2 or 3 pairs, to match our outfits. It wasn't comfortable, but it was stylish. You'd scrunch them down around your ankles to make sure every color peeked through. Looking back, it's easy to wonder what we were thinking. Oversized blazers with rolled-up sleeves. Whether you were going to the office or just heading out with friends, oversized blazers with padded shoulders and rolled-up sleeves were everywhere. Paired with skinny ties or chunky jewelry, These blazers were meant to look sophisticated, but often ended up making us look like we were playing dress-up. Ripped fishnet stockings. The rebellious, edgy style of the 80s was partly defined by ripped fishnet stockings. Worn with skirts, shorts, and even dresses, fishnets gave an instant cool factor. Paired with heavy eye makeup and studded accessories, they were the ultimate bad girl look, even if they were a bit impractical. Denim on denim, aka the Canadian tuxedo. In the 80s, it was completely acceptable, if not encouraged, to wear denim head to toe. Denim jackets, jeans, even denim shirts were all layered together, often in slightly mismatched shades. The Canadian tuxedo may have been comfortable, but it certainly raised some eyebrows in the fashion department. Looking back at these trends, it's easy to see why we laugh now, but there's also something heartwarming about remembering our fearless style experiments. The 80s were all about self-expression, even if it meant wearing a few questionable outfits. And that's what made the decade so memorable. What other embarrassing trends do you remember from the 80s? Drop them in the comments below, and let's keep the nostalgia going.